Good evening, everyone. This is Mike. Welcome back to my channel and another project of the Grumpy Old Gentleman on Film. And this month we are talking about the classic Alfred Hitchcock film, Notorious from 1946. So let me make a few comments about this, and my thoughts are all kind of mixed up in my head here, so I'll try to make sense and try not to go on too long. To start off with, I never saw this movie until 2016, and it was in one of my film classes, which happened to be dedicated to the films of Alfred Hitchcock. And this was the last film that we saw in the class. And I remember that at the end of the film, everybody was really into it, really intense attention going toward the screen. And at the end of the film, the whole class broke into applause for about a minute. It's the only time I can remember that ever happening to one of the classes. So it was really exciting, and I'm so glad I finally got to see it. And I watched it a second time just a few days ago to get ready for this video. So if any of you have not seen this, highly recommend it. I would always say that my #1 Alfred Hitchcock film is still Vertigo, but this comes a close second. This is really something. All right, so Notorious it's many things at once. It's a very intense and very strange romantic drama, which takes all of your expectations about cinematic romance, especially between two great stars like Cary Grant and Ingrid Bergman, and it just twists them all around and takes you into a place that you were not expecting a romance to go. And it's also a spy thriller, and it is also classified as a film noir. So we'll try to talk a little bit about all those different aspects of the film. At the beginning of the film, Ingrid Bergman she plays a woman named Alicia Huberman, who is the daughter of a German-born American citizen who has just been sent to prison for being a Nazi agent during World War II. And she's coming out of the courtroom where her father has just been sentenced to 20 years in prison, and everybody is flashing cameras in her face and microphones and asking her questions, and she doesn't say a word. We find out later that she does not agree with what her father did. She's very much against it, and she is a loyal American. She is approached by an American agent named a federal agent named Devlin, played by Cary Grant, who wants her to help the government infiltrate a group of Nazis, former Nazis, who have gone to Brazil. And the government believes that these men are up to something nefarious, and they need to find out what it is. So Alicia Huberman is in a position to help them because of her father's connections, and these men knew her father, and they want her to especially get close to a man named Alexander Sebastian, played by Claude Rains, and he's a much older man. And at one time, he had been in love with Alicia and wanted to marry her, but she did not return his affection. Now, what's interesting about Alicia is that she has a notorious reputation for being a woman of affairs, which in plain language means that she's very promiscuous. And they want to use this aspect of her personality and her lifestyle because they think that she will be sexually free and want to use her sexual wiles to get close to this man, find out what his secrets are. And when Devlin first approaches her, they don't like each other very much, but there's a very strong attraction, and they end up being intimate. They end up falling in love, although he has a lot of reservations about her past, and he feels that she will never be a trustworthy woman, even though he wants her very much. And she is totally in love with this man, and she says that because of her love for him, she is a new person, and she will never go back to the way she was before. Well, it turns out that when they find out exactly what the assignment is, and so Devlin is acting very aloof, as if he doesn't care what she has to do in order to achieve the goal that the agents want from her. And she is very hurt and very upset by the fact that she feels betrayed by this man that she has just fallen in love with. It gets very twisted, very intense. And of course, it gets even more intense because Alexander Sebastian asks Alicia to marry him, and the agent said, yeah, go ahead and do it. So she does. And that's where it all starts. I don't want to give too much away here, but it's a very exciting film, and you get to watch this incredible chemistry between these two amazing actors, and also Claude Rains, who is kind of the second male lead in the film, and he really is wonderful, probably at his very best. One of the supporting actors is Lewis Calhern. He plays one of the American agents, and we also have a very interesting actress I'd never heard of before. Her name is Madame Constantine, that's how she's billed on the credits of the film, but her real first name is Leopoldine. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. Leopoldine Constantine. She was an Austrian actress who was born in the late 19th century. She began her acting career in 1907 and started making films in 1910, made a whole string of films all the way up into the 1930s. And then she emigrated to the United States. And because she couldn't speak a word of English, she didn't work in films for a while. She went into factory work. Now, I didn't say how long she was doing that, but she eventually got training in language, in the English language, and she got this part in Notorious, and it was her very last film. But what's interesting is she was only 3 years older than Claude Rains, who was playing her son. So, but very intense performance, and it's great that we have this performance by her. Probably there's nothing else we'll be able to see her in. So, one thing I wanted to say about this movie, when I first saw this, I had this impression that you could watch this film on two different levels. Not only was it, how do I want to put this? In the film, Alicia Huberman is being manipulated and controlled and directed by Cary Grant's character and all of these other men who are telling her what to do, even though she has reservations about these things that they're asking her to do. Things that are repugnant and repulsive to her, but she feels compelled to do it because she has essentially signed a contract. And I was thinking that it's almost the same as an actress being directed by, let's say, a very strong director like Alfred Hitchcock, and being manipulated into doing scenes and achieving a characterization that may make her very uncomfortable. So it's interesting that a woman is being manipulated on different levels in being an actress and being under the control of a director. And I just thought that was kind of an interesting way to look at it. From what we know now about Alfred Hitchcock and how he became obsessive with many of his actresses, it's kind of an interesting thing to speculate on. But I think that he worked 3 times with Ingrid Bergman. I think they got along very well. And she certainly was a very strong woman, as well as being a very strong actress, even though when she portrays Alicia and all of her characters that I've seen her act in, she's a very vulnerable and emotional performer. And it's fascinating that she's playing this character that has so many levels of promiscuity and falling in love with someone that she knows that she's afraid will never accept her as she is. When only a year before, the last film she did before Notorious was The Bells of St. Mary's, right? Where she played Sister Mary Benedict, one of the most wholesome and virginal characters you could ever hope to meet. Now, of course, as I said, it's also classified as a film noir in this Bible here. So let me read you a little bit about what it says, the film noir aspect of what Hitchcock was doing. And I'll just read a little bit here. Hitchcock exploits a noir style while inverting several of the noir conventions. Alicia, his, quote, bad woman, unquote, like such later examples of his anti-heroines as Eve Kendall in North by Northwest and Madeline/Judy in Vertigo, is bad not by nature or design, but as a result of circumstances. At a passing glance, Alicia is not unlike the predatory Kathy of Out of the Past, the deceptive Kitty of The Killers, or the traitorous Anna of Criss Cross, played by Yvonne De Carlo. Great, great film. But Alicia is later revealed as a woman inured to misery while still ready to risk herself for emotional fulfillment. Devlin, although similar to other noir heroes in his inability to see beyond a woman's facade, is flawed not by trusting too much, but rather by not trusting enough. Okay, and I've kept you long enough. 10 minutes. Thank you for watching, and please make sure to watch all the other Grumps and their reviews of Notorious. And remember, we may be old, we may be grumpy, but we're always gentlemen, right?